Well, it's going to be an interesting year for us, and never had just 3 upperclassmen total on a team. So I think you're seeing 70% basically of our upperclassmen minus Sarah Schwartzwalder. So it's I think a year that we're gonna have to do a lot of learning not just what we're doing on the court, but system and who goes in what spot. And some people need to be versatile to be able to play a couple different positions. Learn how to win, and also learn how to lose. And I think those are things that, without a ton of returning experience, even though we have a lot of players that played last year, just how to understand how those things go. But and a lot of patience. I think a patience to learn and get where we need to go on the court, to develop our skills and talent over the course of time. But then, at the same time, I think there's going to be a lot of wow moments with this team. There's a lot of physical, athletic athletes on the floor, and I think there's going to be a very fan-friendly group that the fans are really going to enjoy watching play.
What sort of onus does that put on your older players to maybe lead the younger players?
Well, 100% of everything goes on their shoulders. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's, the good thing with the 3 upperclassmen, they've all played a lot and all started a lot, all been in, the NCAA tournament and played, volleyball for the bulk of their careers. So I think it's really natural for them to be in that position, and I think, but they're athletes that have high expectations, and I think our 10 underclassmen see that. So I think they'll take a lot of ownership in that.
With Morgan, what makes her a good player? What does she bring to it that makes her productive?
Probably her passion for the game and want and desire to improve each and every day. I think that's contagious as an athlete, and and an enthusiasm about it, and a positivity that people gravitate to and people want to be around when she's competing on the floor. So the obvious things are her awards and recognition and All-American and things like that. But I think the things you said initially are what separates her from other people in her position around the country.
Yeah, I saw her stats, and I can't say that I can put them in perspective. I'm hoping you can. Can you put those? What do those numbers mean to a volleyball person?
Well, last year, she was someone that affects the way a couple games offensively, because assists is like a point guard. You're giving the person the ball to score the point, and she was one of the top assists players in the conference and in the country. So creating opportunities for people like Annie to kill the ball and other people on the team. And then, because she's 6'1" and long above the net, she affects the game. And so when she jumps to set, blockers have to honor her and acknowledge what she's doing, because she can turn and throw it down the score and kill the ball on her own. And there's very few setters that can kill the ball at the rate that she does. And last year she, I think, averaged over 1.5 kills a game, which is unusual as a setter, and hit for, I think, over 400. So, those type of numbers are very rare in the setting position.
Tell me, are you guys hosting an NCAA for the 3rd time in 5 years? Is that accurate?
Well, we're hosting the regional. So, if getting to the NCAA tournament is obviously part of the expectation of the program, and then making the regional is another significant. But if you get past the 2nd round, then we're hosting the regional this year. If we're able to be a top 16 seed, then we get the chance to host the 1st and 2nd round as well. So a major advantage, and those are selected by the NCAA, and the ABCA gives recommendations. So it's a huge sign of respect and honor for our program that since 2011, this is our 3rd time, right? 3rd time in 5 years to host a regional.
Is that at all helpful in maybe like making UK or Kentucky synonymous with volleyball and good volleyball?
That's a great question, Jerry. I think it's, the SEC is probably the 3rd or 4th conference in terms of RPI across the country, where Big 10, Big Pac-12, and Big 12 have been ahead of us. So it's our responsibility, my responsibility as a coach, to get this program where it is already, but then also to be recognized as one of the elite programs in the country. And getting those regionals, I think, is definitely a sign of respect, and I think it's motivation for our players to be able to do that and have the chance to get there, so we have a chance to play for a Final Four at some point. And that's what we want to do. That's why we're here. And I think it's pretty neat, and very few schools get the chance to do that.
Has it gotten to the point where recruits out there, it's like an entry, you know what I mean? That you don't have to kind of start from scratch introducing Kentucky to them?
Well, I think I don't know, Deb, I think we're one of 10 schools in the country that have been to the last 10 NCAA tournaments. So I think we're an elite group in terms of that, and so yes, I mean, people recognize Kentucky all the way, into California. We don't recruit a ton in California, but it's certainly a point that because we've been to the regionals several times, because we're consistently in the NCAA tournament, that our name is synonymous with some of the best programs in the country. And I think that's where we are now. It's now we need to move beyond that, and it can't happen overnight, but it's got to take a group like this to want to get better every day to do that. But we have a lot of doors open, and we got a lot of good recruits here now, and some that I can't speak by name that coming in the future that I think have separated us a little bit, and now we got to continue to put the results on the floor.
Speaking of recruiting, how has the added exposure of the SEC network affected that, if and how much?
I'm glad you said that, because I think recruiting, it does help. You talk to recruits all the time that have watched us on television. I think the thing that it's really doing more right now for is educating the South on what volleyball is. And more and more I run into people at games or the grocery store or the mall or whatever that say, Coach, I've never been to a volleyball game, but watching you guys play on the SEC network, it's one of the most fascinating sports I've seen on television. So just learning, I mean, it's somewhat of an intimidating game because people don't see it a whole lot, in the South. And so the network is really providing an education for people that haven't been to games to see it, and so they want to come and see what it's all about in person. But because it's one of the top two most popular sports in the world, now that interest and education is coming in this part of the country for sure.
Any other questions?
For the Morgan and Ann, can you just talk about your excitement for the season?
I'm sorry?
Just the excitement that you have going into the season.
Yeah. So we have a really special team this year. We just really click well and on and off the court, and so that's really allowed us to establish some chemistry starting in the summer and going through the fall. And we're going to be physically dominant at the net, I think. And our underclassmen are working really hard right now, and we're pushing them every day as upperclassmen. And I think upperclassmen are we're pushing each other like we haven't in the past, and I think that's going to be really exciting come the 28th when we have our season opener. So.
Morgan said, I think we have a very physical team, lots of big girls up in the net, and lots of different talents that we all can fit different positions, so I think it'll be fun.
Annie, how does it feel to be one of the older players, kind of wise?
Good, I've been waiting a long time to get here. But yeah, it's great, especially being kind of a role model for the younger girls. I know exactly how they're feeling, the freshmen coming in and the sophomores, like getting on the court and playing. It's good to be able to help them out now that I know kind of what they're going through. It was funny, I was talking to my mom about this, and I think a lot of the freshmen are having freshman frustrations, and everybody kind of goes through them. A lot of the time, if you're screwing up in practice, you just feel like you can't do anything right, and that's not true. I think they're doing a good job of like pushing through and on to the next rep after that. So
I think sometimes when you get here at this level that you're not particularly used to, you have to get worse before you get better. And Craig talks about that. Like, you have to learn how to make mistakes and take the risks and go for balls that you maybe haven't in the past to get out of your comfort zone. to get to that elite level.
How tough is that on the ego to?
It's hard. As a freshman coming in and you're playing with girls that know the system and know the program, and you're coming in brand new, I mean, it's tough, but that's what makes it fun, is getting through that. And then once you finally find your rhythm and you can finally like take a deep breath and be like, hey, I finally got it, you know, it feels good.
If they can push through the lows, they develop a whole nother layer of confidence. And if they can't push through lows, it's just, you know, prolongs that freshman frustration. I like that word.
Yeah.
Anyone might use that more often. But, you know, it may not register until October, but the faster that they can just daily come and try and get better, that they get over it, and you see a layer of confidence that they haven't had in the past. So you really have to take a step backwards to make that next jump forwards.
Do you try to massage them through the lows here, or is it something that they have to deal with?
You know, I don't necessarily, I'm not hardcore on them, and I'm not telling them how good they are either. I think it's something that they really have to learn to deal with themselves, because if they're looking to me for either an ego pump or putting them down, then they're not going to be able to focus during the match. And, you know, they really have to learn how to work through that. Now, I'm going to coach them and teach them and help them work through in terms of how to maybe do that, but not too hard on them, not too, you know, it's, you know, false, I guess, excitement doesn't really get you forward, so it's more about what's real.
This has been a good group too. Like, you can tell that they are getting a little bit frustrated, but they're not too hard on themselves where they can't push through it. They've been good at, you know, next ball, next play.
And I think the other teammates have been good about like supporting them and through their mistakes and correcting them and helping them
Teaching.
along. So yeah, teaching.
Who's maybe surprised you the most, or what has surprised you the most if you're looking at practice?
Like, what have we improved on, you think?
Or
Like
is
as
there
a player, or?
someone that just has popped out to you and you're like, man, they've gotten a lot better, or you didn't expect them to be as good or contribute as early? Or is there
One player that has really impressed me, I know Sheree has had really high hitting numbers and low error, and that's something that coach like stresses a lot, that we shouldn't have a very high error percentage, and that'll get us to the elite level. So I think she's done a really good job about that so far.
For me, Ashley sticks out in my mind. Just last year as a freshman coming in, she's obviously a very good defensive player, but just kind of jumpy and didn't know how to sit still and wait for the ball. And this preseason, it's like a whole new player. Like, she is patient, but she makes some great plays. So I know she'll keep getting better, and she works super hard every day. So that's been fun to watch.
Annie, I think I saw in the stats that Morgan, in the last match last season.
I mean, that's awesome, first of all, because she's a setter, and that's unheard of. But that's actually really good from a hitter's point, too, because it takes some of the pressure off of you sometimes, because she is able to kill the ball really well, and the blockers can worry about her, too, and a lot of the time that makes it opens up the pins for us to hit, too. So that takes a lot of the pressure off of the hitters as well.
Do you have any more questions for Coach Stainer?
Thanks, guys.